how are you able to, basically just come to terms and just really move forward and just excel and push forward in your career?
Therapy. Therapy is major. I think people, especially in the Black community, sometimes even more so in the Christian community, we kind of shun therapy. Like, just go to God. Well, God has made people. He's put people in your life. He's made faith-based therapists. They went to school just so they could be the person to help you. And I think that's so important. And I think it's important. This is just me personally. I think it's important that you go to therapists that looks like you.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you're a Christian, that you go to faith-based, whatever your, religion or whatever your affiliation is, but you go with somebody that believes those same things because you can bounce that off of them. There are certain things that I probably couldn't talk to a man about. There's certain things I can talk to a Caucasian about. Nothing wrong with them, but there's nothing, but I went to a female faith-based therapist that I could just throw everything off of. Right. And it was an amazing thing. But that just works for me. I'm not saying that works for everybody, but it definitely worked for me. And for me, what I was going through, because I was molested in my childhood, what I was going through was I never told my mom. So I was like, I got to tell my mom. But my thing, I was like, she's going to feel guilty. I love me and my mom have a super tight relationship. I was like, I got to tell my dad, like, this is a lot. Like, this is a lot. So it was hard, but God was just putting it on my heart to do it. So I had to do it. But therapy changed my life. I went to a point where I was like super depressed, really had a hard time going to work, all of that, because when you go through trauma, sometimes your brain suppresses what happened. And so you got to relive all of that. You're like, did it happen? I don't know, because your brain has suppressed it. And my therapist explained to me that's how you survive. That's your survival mechanism, is that you suppress what happened so you can live. But at some point, you've gotta come forward to it. And I always say we can't control what happened in our past. We absolutely have no control over that, but we are control for taking control of it for the future. Once you become of age, it's important that we go to therapy. It's important that we confront those situations so they don't happen again. We break generational cycles. All of that, I think that's so important. So therapy has been the greatest thing for me.
No, that's very dope. I think it was so important to discuss because a lot of people are just hiding or masking what they're going through, and it's really like messing them up as far as
it is
things in just general, like you said, like not wanting to get up and go to work. Like I know that feeling, because it was times where like I can't even get out the bed, like I'm just messed up, like mentally. Like,
no, I mean, yeah, I remember vividly. I was just watching what's the ER movie? I mean the show that came on. I can't think of the song right. The famous ER show. I can't think of the show right now. But I watched like every day, and it was not even watching. I was just watching. I was just depressed. I was just like, I'm watching this to watch it. I don't even care what's happening. I'm just watching it. I'm not doing work. I'm just watching it. I was like, okay, I gotta go to a therapist. I was like, okay, it's time. Like, you gotta go see a therapist. But man, and I think it's important too, like, to share what you've been through. You don't know who might be holding on to that. And for me, like, I grew up in church and all that, and you want to be this good church. I grew up just like the model church citizen. When you're not the model church citizen, sometimes you got to get out of that. And you don't know who else you're helping that might have been through that. So I think it's important. And, do it when you're ready. People shun people for coming out 20 and 30 years later. I had a conversation with my friend about this. I said, you can't, because I was talking about your brain is trauma. You have to be ready to expose that. The way people talk about people who've been molested or raped years later, but you have to come to terms with that it happened yourself. So I never talk down on anybody, man or woman, that's happened to. I think it's so important that you come out when the time is right, and you never know who you're going to help. And especially you're going to help yourself at the end of the day.
So true. Very true. So you being one of the leading DJs in the gospel industry, but also too, you definitely representing for the women out there. Like you killing it. Like you're doing your thing. Not even just women. Like you're killing it. Like where you don't got to toss it up in men and women. But how important is it for you to represent for the women out there and let them know, like, this is attainable. Like, this is not just this ain't just for the dudes. Like, this is attainable for everybody.
It is. I mean, it definitely is. Like, women are just as skilled as men. I know, like, even like when it comes to like producing in the industry, I think women are like 2%. I may be wrong, but it's like a really low percentage of women that are like just represented in the industry and behind the scenes, I say, or like DJing in that technical aspect at all. But we are just as dope, man. We are just as dope. We have the technique, we have the style, we have it all. Like, we're just as dope. And one of the things I really want to do, I want to start like a school or just like an academy that teaches women about radio, about DJing, about it all, because man, we can do that. But I didn't grow up seeing a lot of that. I didn't grow up seeing a whole lot of female DJs like in my city, I would say, or a whole lot of female radio personalities. But man, we are out here. We are just as skilled. And I think it's important that when we go out, we represent. And all the ladies I see, they represent. Cool thing I like about Atlanta, it's a lot of female DJs here. And I love seeing it. And they always represent, they always have the crowd moving. I'm like, yes, what we do. So man, we out here and we are representing, and we are representing well.
If you're enjoying the content you're watching right now and you want to level up and create vibes at all the events you DJ at, well, make sure you subscribe to us right